Webcasting from Southeast Kansas, I'm Jonathan Switzer. This is another episode of this Robotech thing. This is the obligatory part of the show where I remark on how late I am in doing a new show. I think I had said, I think the last show was in May, and I said, oh, I'll have a new one up in like 2 weeks, and now it's about a week till August. So, you know, I've gone through most of the summer without a new show. But I could not let this particular moment pass without a new show, because this week saw the release of Robotech Love Live Live on DVD. And in fact, on the back half of this show, after the obligatory RoboJunk Get, you will see my review of Robotech Love Live Live. Before we get to that, this is really cute. This is kind of amazing. This is a trailer that Harmony Gold actually posted up for Love Live Live. Watch this.
Join us next time as Scott, Rand, Rook, Annie, Lunk, Ariel, and Lancer are reunited one last time. Be sure to watch Love Live Alive, the next dramatic chapter in the Robotech saga.
You know, if nothing else has come of this, it is kind of nice to me, to my thinking, that this is the project that gave us back the Robotech narrator, J.J. Smith. Like I said, after RoboJunk Get, you know, you'll get the full review of Robotech Live Live from me, my full opinions on this. Well, we'll see how this goes, eh? Anyway, hey, you know what? Oh God, there's Robotech news. Let's run the bumper. So in addition to Love Live Live coming out this week, there's actually been a lot of Robotech news. And then on top of that, there's a couple of things I still sort of want to talk about, because I feel like I'd be remiss if I didn't talk about them. So let's start from the most recent, again, work our way back. The most recent being is stupid rumor crap. Stupid live-action movie rumor crap, which is the worst kind of stupid rumor crap. Stupid rumor is that Leonardo DiCaprio turned down a role in Star Wars Episode 7 because he really just wants to be in Robotech instead. Given the guy's age, I could see Robotech making a kind of impression on him when he was young. A stronger impression, you know, maybe even more so than Star Wars. You know, maybe he sort of sees, you know, there might only be one chance to do Robotech, and Star Wars movies are eternal, you know. After all, with the weak take on Pacific Rim, and the weak take on every anime-influenced and anime-based movie that's come out from a major studio, you know, he might be thinking, you know, there could only just be, well, the one Robotech movie, and if I don't make this move now, you know, forever hold my peace. So, hey, you know. But it's just a stupid rumor, so it might not even be true. So there's that. Now let's get to something a little meatier, something a little juicier, something a little more. Oh dear, oh Harmony Gold, oh Harmony Gold. You see what I have in my hand here? I always print this stuff out because you know, I actually lose files on my computer much more easily than I lose pieces of paper. I've actually got a little folder on the Robotech bookshelf here that I keep stuff like this in, you know, for future reference because it's fun. This in my hand here is a copy of a copyright infringement complaint demand for jury trial between Harmony Gold USA Incorporated, a California corporation, plaintiff, versus Hasbro Incorporated, a Rhode Island corporation, and Doe's 1 through 10 inclusive defendants. This goes back a ways. I would assume most of you remember this, that in 1985, Hasbro, in their Transformers toy line, released a toy called Jetfire. Jetfire was a VF1S Super Valkyrie toy, originally manufactured by Takatoku, later manufactured by Bandai. Done up in a much more white and red, with black accents, color scheme, and made into an Autobot warrior. This character showed up in the cartoon under a different name with a completely different character model. Totally different. Didn't look at all like a Veritech fighter or a Valkyrie fighter. He still sort of had the backpack thing going on. He was still a red and a white robot that turned into a plane, but he had sort of a blockier sort of space fighter nose. Much more like a cross between a Valkyrie and an X-wing or something. Much more a sci-fi jet. And again, in the cartoon he was called Skyfire. In the comic books he was still called Jetfire, but he still was using that character and mechanical design model. And everything was fine for years. They would apply the name Jetfire to different kinds of vehicle robot combinations. In Transformers Armada, he's first a space shuttle, and then sort of a space fighter, and then sort of I don't know, some sort of big military cargo jet or something. And then in the Classics toy line, that sort of palette cleanser between Transformers Cybertron and the live-action movie franchise, they did up a Jetfire that recalled the VF1S design, but was still much more the space fighter from the cartoon. It actually had separate fast packs. You could sort of achieve a Gerwalk mode, but it still had that sort of blocky nose cone, and the robot proportions were kind of chunky, and it still wasn't going to cause anything like this to happen. But this year at San Diego Comic-Con, Hasbro decided for the third installment of their G.I. Joe / Transformer convention exclusive series to take their G.I. Joe Sky Striker jet plane mold and give it a set of ersatz fast packs and color it up like Jetfire. Only their decoration, their coloration, their decals were actually a little too close to sort of the Macross Do You Remember Love Hikari Chijo color scheme. Much closer to that, actually, than the original Jetfire color scheme. Lots of little fiddly details here. We're much closer to that deco. If you look carefully, it's actually kind of, oh, really, stop, don't poke the bear. Don't poke the bear. But they poked the bear. And, not realizing how litigious Harmony Gold can be. Forgetting how litigious Harmony Gold can be. So, I mean, this is after the convention, so the people who went to the convention, they got their toys. Hasbro does often turn around and take whatever stock they have left over and sell it off of their website, HasbroToyShop.com. They didn't do that with this because, this happened, in the morning that day. And a lot of people are going, Harmony Gold, they just go and they sue everybody, and they send out cease and desists, and they just want to make everybody miserable. The thing is, Harmony Gold, I think Harmony Gold is honestly within their rights here. I mean, I've looked at that deco. It does look, and the molding on the fast packs, and it does look a lot like the Veritech. Of course it does, because the original Jetfire toy was a VF-1 Veritech fighter. The thing is, Hasbro has spent a great many years tiptoeing around that, but when it came time to apply a Jetfire deco to this particular toy, this particular, very, classic swing wing fighter influenced toy design, they went all out, and unfortunately, this is the result. In trying to appeal to that nostalgia, they crossed a line. A line that was, back in 1985, these lines were being crossed all over the place. Recall, like, the Convertors toys. They had plenty of Valkyrie molds in that. And that was like a C grade, toy line, but it was a legit toy line. It's one that people, a certain subset of people, still actually fondly remember to this day. You had, those Mospita model kit molds being used for GoBots. You had these lines being crossed all over the place back in the 1980s. Unfortunately, today you cannot cross these lines in the same way. Otherwise, these things happen. Now, now this is all very interesting, but one thing I find much more interesting, actually, in the text of this, is this actually finally explains to the world how the Tatsunoko Harmony Gold relationship works. This I found fascinating. It goes through exactly why Harmony Gold has these rights, how Harmony Gold has these rights. They actually explained it in detail. The original agreement was dated September the 11th, 1984. Tatsunoko then granted to Harmony Gold, according to this, verbatim, subject to certain exceptions not relevant to Harmony Gold's claims asserted herein, exclusively and irrevocably the rights to exploit the copyrights in the series in the United States and certain other countries, including but not limited to, and it goes on. It says, the initial term of the 1984 agreement was 7 years. They had the rights to Macross, Southern Cross, and Mospita for 7 years originally. Let's see. By agreement dated March 15th, 1991, Tatsunoko renewed the grant to Harmony Gold of the rights granted in the 1984 agreement for an additional initial term of 10 years. Then, again, in August 6th, 1998, Tatsunoko and Harmony Gold entered into a contract called Amendment to Main Agreement, which renewed the grant to Harmony Gold of the rights granted in the 91 agreement for a renewal term through and including March 14th, 2011, 2 years ago. And then on March 20th, 2008, Tatsunoko and Harmony Gold entered into a contract called Amendments to Original Agreement, which renewed the grant to Harmony Gold of the rights granted in the 91 agreement for a renewal term through and including March 14th, 2021. Harmony Gold has Macross, Southern Cross, and Mospita through and including March 14th, 2021. You and I would not know that if not for Harmony Gold trying to sue Hasbro on, what is this? What date was this? Filed Clerk, U.S. District Court, July 22nd, 2013, Central District of California. So that's interesting. This is interesting reading, more on this as it develops. I'm going to be honest with you. I kind of think Harmony Gold is totally in the right to do this. Some people look at Harmony Gold as just a bunch of trolls who get off on suing people over stupid crap. But you, me, and everybody else, look at that Sky Striker. I'm pretty sure we're all looking at this going, yep, that's a Veritech. That's a Veritech. That's even more Veritech than it is Jetfire. Yeah, it's got the Autobot symbol sign. Yeah, those fast packs are red. Yeah, it's got those dorky little fins that are on the Skyfire cartoon model. It's a slightly better Veritech than that old Matchbox one up there. So, hey. So what else is going on in the world of Robotech? Oh yeah, their big pre-Comic-Con announcement. Hey, we're getting more Robotech comics. I'm actually a little excited by this. We're getting more Robotech comics. Not only that, we're getting Robotech comics featuring this guy. Featuring this guy. We're getting a Robotech Voltron crossover. Okay, now I'm going to have to put him down because this is really heavy. Okay. Alright. Look, look, look. Hey, check it out. Check it out. We got a Robotech Voltron crossover going on right here. Oh, okay. Yeah. Anyway, let's put these guys down. Yes. Published through Dynamite Entertainment, the publishing arm of terrible collectible signed comic releaser guys at Dynamic Forces, who published stuff like those knockoff Edgar Rice Burroughs comics and Red Sonja. And they've been doing Voltron for a few years now. They picked up the Voltron license in 2011. They did I didn't pick up their Voltron comics except for maybe the first issue because I found a copy of it cheap, because I still really like those Devil's Due Voltron comics that were coming out 10 years ago. I really liked that take on the Voltron mythos. But, I gave them a chance. I read through that first issue. It was not bad. It was alright. So they've had that license a couple of years now, and through a special arrangement with DC, now Dynamite has the Robotech comic book license. And so they're doing this crossover, and Tommy Yoon is writing it. I know Tommy has sort of wanted to get his hands on Voltron for a while, but that wasn't going to be happening since he's still with Robotech, 10 years on, 10, 12 years on, 13 years on, and so this gets Voltron into his hands, and he gets to do sort of this funny crossover thing, and he drew a really nice Lotor for the cover, and he did this sort of eye patch wearing Roy, and everybody's going, Captain Harlock, and I'm going, no, they take the eye patch away. This is Ted Nomura's prototype 001 variants. It's Roy in a captain's coat and everything. With the high collar like Global. It's variants. It's prototype 01. Of course, everybody knows Captain Harlock, and nobody remembers Antarctic Press and Ted Nomura's prototype 01 variants. So so I guess it's just me. But, as long as he goes into this, trying for a sense of, fun and craziness, and what can I do to jam these things together, and, how many, wacky things can I do with this, and, if I really want to, I can just blow everything up at the end. If he goes into it with that kind of an attitude, this could be wildly entertaining. On the other hand, it is Tommy, and more often than not, he just sort of goes and does the most mundane thing, and doesn't go into these things with a real sense of excitement. We're going to find out in November. The first issue, according to MTV Geek's interview, drops in November, and we still don't have an artist. We got Tommy doing the cover, doing that kind of cool cover, but when are we going to find out who's drawing this thing? Probably when the solicitations drop in a little less than a month's time. I think we're looking at the October solicits right now, so a little more than a month's time. So I'm cautiously optimistic. From what I understand, after the miniseries is over, which is probably about 6 months, 5 or 6 months, then we should see a new Robotech series proper. And who knows what that's going to be? Is it going to be Macross stuff? Is it going to be Shadow Chronicles-y stuff? I don't. Who knows? I don't know. We'll find out. We'll hopefully find out. They'll hopefully tell us much sooner than, oh hey, here's the end of the Robotech Voltron crossover, and now. So, all right. So that's all the very recent news. And what I'm going to do here is we're going to jump to a Robojunk Get, and then after that we're going to do a few quick pickup stories, things that have been left lying around that I still want to talk about, like Robotech RPG Tactics stuff, specifically. That's the big one. But and then my review of Robotech Love Live Live. So let's start off with a Robojunk Get. Why don't we? All right. Do not bend. Open carefully. Yep, it's another package of Robotechnological goodness. As you can see, it's going to be some artwork. So, I'm going to, well, open carefully. So, try and open it as carefully as we can. Okay, come on. Okay. Yep. Got Alouetta stuck in my head. Don't know why. Alright. Alright. As usual, there's another envelope inside the envelope. Ooh, this feels nice and thick. So, we'll flip that, and deseal this. Oh, for crying out loud, deseal this. Okay. Thankfully, fold it over, so I'm not having to go against the artwork to rip open the bag. Alright. Ooh. Plastic. And a comic book. Okay. Wasn't expecting a comic book. Oh man! Hey! Check that out. Carl Masek signed. Really? Really? Or was that just a bag he stuffed it into? Let's find out. Oh, I'm curious now. I'm deeply curious now. It's the comic book issue adapting the episode where there's that town with the book and oh my goodness gracious me, it is signed by the late Carl Masek. Wow. Yeah, that's the issue where Lunk has the dumb book that he's trying to return to the guy, but the guy is dead because he stood up to the town. And yeah. Oh man. Love these vintage ads. Anyway, enough of the comic book. That was a nice little bonus. I'm really happy with that. But the main event here, protected by a clear file, is John Waltrip's cover to Robotech to the Sentinels, Book 3, Number 9, which was the first Academy Comics issue of Robotech to the Sentinels. So, in case you can't tell, this is the one where Praxis explodes, and the GMU is destroyed, and they escape aboard a ship that would be much too small for all of them to escape on. But let's not discuss these issues of scale here. Oh dear. Anyway, that's a nice piece. I've always liked this cover. And let's see. Let's see if I. Yeah, the actual line art, of course, is ooh, it actually is. No, it's just slid in there. It is an overlay. The colors are all painted on the cardboard, and the line art is probably a Xerox copy. And is the registration off a little, or was there just a little bit of bleed? There might have just been a little bit of bleed. Looks like the registration is generally on. But yeah, you know, was really interested in this piece, mostly because of the fact that you know, it represents that moment, the changing of hands, the changing of the guard from Eternity to Academy. But at the same time, you know, it's a strong piece in its own right. You know, I love the colors and the lighting, and you know, it's a well rendered you know, Rick there from John, and the shocked Lisa is very representative of the Waltrip Sentinels art style, and the Praxians are just sort of there in the background. You know, as far back in the background as they can be, and still be there for the passing of their planet. So on the one hand, you know, it's good to have them there for the event going on. On the other hand, you know, of all the Sentinels races, they're the ones I kind of like to forget. Anyway, yeah, cool piece of art, an unexpected signed comic book. I'd mark that as a win.
Hold your position. Robotech will be right back.
Box of Robotech. Robotech things. Box of Robotech things. Alright. What's in the box of Robotech things? Peanuts! There are peanuts in there. Okay. So, and some bubble wrap. That's what's lurking within the bubble wrap. Yeah. Come on. Come on, I don't want to get peanuts everywhere. I got peanuts everywhere. It is... Ooh. Stickers are actually in better shape than I thought they'd be. Yep, it's a Bioroid engine fighter. Or rather, that Bioroid design that wasn't in the show, that they made a toy of and called it a Bioroid engine fighter, because if you look up in the Robotech style guide, they totally called this a Bioroid engine fighter in the style guide, if I remember right. I think that's where the error came from. In any case, it's a toy of design for a thing that doesn't show up in the show. Except I think it does show up in the Southern Cross opening animation. I think it's one of the designs that's sort of marching forward, you know, as the hover tanks are charging towards it. So, you know, that bit of animation of Southern Cross animation that isn't in the original Robotech Open, but is in the Sentinels Open. But yeah, all sorts of weird articulation. I love the weird articulation. I basically just got this because it was cheap, and I love this figure. Like I said, you know, while that sticker's sort of peeling up, the picture I saw of it, I thought both of them were peeling up. So this is actually good. But that's not all. That's not all. The thing I was actually looking for is not in the box. Oh! It fell out. Hey, it's a rifle. It's a GU-11 rifle. It's got some sticky stuff on it. Now, in the photograph, I could have sworn it had some writing on it. The point is, I got this. Yeah, I keep looking at a shot. I got this for my Veritech fighter, and hold on for 1 second. Okay, so now, oh, and that knot's right where it's going to be concealed by being on the underside of the fighter. Look, my Veritech is slightly more complete. I was going to clean this off. On the auction, they had actually, the previous owner had apparently written some kind of name on the barrel here where it said, where it would say UN Spacey. But apparently the seller cleaned that off beforehand, so I don't have to. Good. So yeah, my Veritech is slightly more complete. Awesome. So now all I would need, if I wanted some missiles, I probably wouldn't get any missiles, because I never used the ones when I had Veritech before. I might get the fast pack for it. But yeah, this set me back a lot less than I thought it would. So I am pleased as punch. Let's say pleased as punch. All right, two more things I want to talk about before we get to the main event. Robotech Love Live Alive. And by the by, you know, this thing here, you know these cardboard sleeve things. You know, Shadow Chronicles came in a cardboard sleeve thing. You know, apparently in the business, they call this an O card. An O card. Because when you take the DVD out, it doesn't look at all like an O. I guess if you do this, but this is pretty stiff cardboard. It doesn't really like to do that. Anyway, so apparently at San Diego Comic-Con, they were giving away special San Diego Comic-Con Robotech 2 movie collection O cards. And the difference between this one with its sort of embossed business going on here and the San Diego Comic-Con exclusive one is that across the top there it says San Diego Comic-Con exclusive. So that makes it that much more special. Includes never before seen film. Never before seen film. Anyway, we're not quite there yet because there's two stories I want to talk about. The first one, I just feel like I'd be remiss if I didn't bring up Robotech RPG Tactics because the Kickstarter was apparently still going on the last time I recorded one of these, and since that time, it's been reported, various places, numerous places, that it made $1.4 million with over 5,000 backers, which, it does my heart good. It does my heart good to know that, that many people are still out there, still actually, on some level, interested in the Robotech universe, or at the very least interested in, that scale of the Macross mecha. But specifically, in the waning days, in the last few days of that Kickstarter, they started trotting out some pieces that really, really caught my interest in a strange sort of way. They started trotting out these experimental mecha. And all of this stuff does go back to part pieces of Super Dimension Fortress Macross line art that either appears very briefly in the animation or doesn't quite even appear in the animation. The first one they did, they trotted out was some optional parts for the Quidlin Rao, the female powered armor. Some cannons that sort of go on the thruster pack, and then like a handgun for it. Which, okay, that's kind of neat. And then they trotted out something they called the Experimental Battloid. And you look at that and you go, "Aw, crap, it's the Orgus Battloid." And so people are starting to, flip out and go, "Oh my god, the Orgus people are going to sue." But, the thing is, A, it appears in the television animation. It does. It appears in episodes 27 and 36. And it's not even really the Orgus. You know what it is? It's a VF-1A with the Orgus's chest plate and one fast pack on the back like that. And then it's got the Orgus's sort of shield gun thing. And it's done up in Orgus colors, sure. But it's obviously VF-1A. It's got VF-1A head and arms and legs and everything. It's an in-joke. It's an in-joke. And it actually does appear in the animation. So, You know, I looked at that and I went, oh, that's never been committed to plastic before. Not in any way that you know, any normal person could have gotten at any rate. You know, there might have been, you know, resin or garage kits, or, you know, people selling off customs or whatever. But you know, we've never had. I don't even think they've even sold that under the Macross name. So there was that, and that was cool. And then we get to the YF4. The YF4 only in animation only appears once. And it in the Robotech animation, rather, it appears as that little model kit that Rick's playing with in episode 36. You know, when the camera pulls back and he's looking all sort of wistful and melancholy, and Minmay looks at him and then tries to convince him, you know, to basically play house with her for the rest of his life. You know, the VF4 then turns around and appears in Macross animation, in Macross Flashback 2012, you know, and Hikaru Chijo is flying that, and it's decked out in you know, Skull Squadron, you know, yellow and black colors, and in these animations it does not transform. The VF4 does not transform until the mid to late 90s, when it appears in the Sony PlayStation game Macross Digital Mission VFX, and that was when Shoji Kawamori sat down and cranked out, you know, art of how this thing turns into a Batroid and a Gurlock. That's the first time this is ever done. And because it's done for this video game, of course, Harmony Gold doesn't have the rights to that art. Harmony Gold doesn't have the rights to that design. You know, they only have the rights to things that appear in the Macross television animation. But they don't have the VF4 transformation. So somebody at Harmony Gold has to have designed a new transformation scheme for the YF4. A new transformation scheme and new Battloid and Guardian modes for that mecha. You know, they didn't 10 years ago. The VF4 appeared in Robotech number 0, the first Wildstorm Robotech comic. You know, the prologue to the From the Stars story. Rick is flying around in the YF4 prototype, and you know, he tries to engage you know, Guardian and or Battloid mode. I can't remember which he tries to do, but he pulls on the lever, and you know, there's a transformation error, or as the original printing put it, a transportation error. Whoops. You know. So they did not have those designs then. They have to have worked it out by now. And here's where the ice gets thin. Honest to goodness, you know how we got this thing going on here right now. We've got Harmony Gold trying to sue the pants off of Hasbro over you know, that Jetfire toy looking too much like a VF1 Valkyrie. You know, what happens if the Harmony Gold Palladium Books Ninja Division YF4 rather, it's got to be the YF4, they don't have the VF4, the YF4 looks too much like, you know, the Shoji Kawamori Big West VF4 Batroid and Gurlock. What happens then, ladies and gentlemen? I mean, I am stunned that they are actually doing this, because the ice gets awfully thin, and, you know, Harmony Gold has been legally incredibly risk-averse in the past. Well, let's go back to Robotech the Shadow Chronicles. In Robotech the Shadow Chronicles, the reason the only Macross character who appears is Rick Hunter is because Rick Hunter's name, and definitely his character design by now, are so far afield from Hikaru Chijo. They designed up a character design for Lisa Hayes, but she does not appear in the animation. Rumor is that that's because Harmony Gold Legal went, Lisa Hayes, Misa Hayase, that's a little too close. It's a little too close for comfort. we don't know if we can do that. So that character design winds up getting used. You know, they changed the hair color, they changed sort of the uniform piping, and it becomes a different high-ranking character who appears in in that big meeting where Reinhardt tells everybody that the protoculture supply we don't have that much. We can't. Yeah, things bad. You know, there's like a blonde high-ranking female officer, and that's Lisa Hayes' character design. Only it's blonde. So I'm a little stunned that you know, guys who wouldn't let that fly are now letting this go by. You know, I mean, that thing has to look totally different. That thing has to look totally different if Harmony Gold Legal is putting a rubber stamp on that. We'll see. We'll definitely see. That one I didn't order, but no, I really like to know what that Gerwalk or Gerwalk, no, that Guardian, that Guardian and that Battloid look like. You know, before I lay down any cash for it. The other thing I wanted to bring up was the last time I was talking about how Yamato has ceased to exist, and then you've got this Arcadia coming up in its wake. And already Arcadia has solicited 3 different Valkyrie toys. You know, first taking that last 1/60th mold, the VF1J version, and doing it up in a hideous 30th anniversary color scheme. Then they're doing a completely new tooling of the YF-19 from Macross Plus, Isamu's YF-19, that does more different things that previous toys did not do. You know, yeah, I suppose this is kind of a nod to the fact that the first Valkyrie that Yamato ever did was Isamu's YF-19. You remember when you know, they solicited that, and you know, it showed up in an ad in Toy Fair, and then, you know, Harmony Gold Legal, hey, you know, got all up in Toycom's face and told them, no, you can't do that. You know. And they've also solicited a new printing of the 1/60th Roy Foker's VF1S in movie styling with the mechanical looking hands. You know, it's probably just because it's not what I grew up with. I've never favored the mechanical looking hands of the movie designs, and the mismatched colored you know, lights over the knees. Is it? No, they're under the knees. They're under the knees. That's right. Anyway, the mismatched colors. That's always. It's not symmetrical. It's anyway. So I suppose then it's just a matter of time before they start rolling out all the other variants that that Yamato had done, or at least all the major ones. I'm sure we're going to get a proper Hikaru colored VF1J before too long. Yeah, it's still kind of need one of those. Yeah, yes, I'm going to give the Yamato 1/60th another shot one of these days. Yeah. Oh, now it's the Arcadia. Now it's the Arcadia 1/60th. Anyway, so that's all I wanted to mention before we get on to this. So, much as I did, what is it now? How many years? Goodness gracious me! 7 years ago. We're gonna do this on camera. We're gonna definitely do this on camera. Let's see if I do this without too much trouble. You know what I always hate? I hate how you know, the shrink wrap always sticks to the spine. Mind you, I'm putting the O card back over it, so it's not going to look too bad on the shelf. But yeah, that always bugs me. that. And then you stick the fingernail under the... Alright. Okay. I wonder if they put a security device in here. I think they put a security device in here. I mean, this is valuable stuff here. I paid a whole $13. They did! They did put a stupid security device in there. Oh my god. You don't see those in many DVDs anymore. It's ridiculous. Yeah. How about that? How about that one of those stupid little sticky security devices? So you got the Love Live Alive here. You got the premiere release Love Live Alive using the art that that Tommy drew up for what was it? It was the 20th anniversary. Drew that up for the 20th anniversary when they had the Michael Bradley concert at the RoboCon 20 events at Anime Expo. And oh, that's actually kind of cool. That's a frame grab of Scott and Marlene coming out of the Hololocket. So that's kind of neat. They shoved all that stuff onto one disc. I'm sure the bitrate's going to be really low on that, but I've got two copies of that already, so I'm not going to have to watch that disc. Anyway, so I'm going to go for a second here. I'm going to pop this in. I'm going to watch it, and then I will give you my my thoughts on this. Be back in a sec.
Robotech will be right back.
So, I just got done watching Robotech Love Live Alive premiere release. And it was fine. It was fine. Most of it is recap. Most of the running time is recap. It's very similar to Codename Robotech. Codename Robotech, for the two of you in the back who don't recall what that is, that was something that was sent out to stations along with the original Robotech television series. It was basically the framing elements of Global's Report, episode 14, the recap episode, with the recap expanded out so that that wound up with about a 90-minute running time. So whereas Global's Report covers the first 13 episodes of Robotech in sort of a 20-25 minute digest fashion, this expands out the story so you get a much more detailed recap of the first 13 episodes of the series. It's not cut off in the way that Global's Report is, but and at the same time it's spoiler laden. And this was actually shown in advance of the TV series. When Robotech officially premiered back in April of 1985, this is what premiered. So, where Codename takes the episode 14 framing materials and covers the first 13 episodes of Robotech, here we're using the Most Speed of Love Live Alive framing materials, the interview with Yellow, and to instead cover actually episodes 60 through 85 of Robotech, because it does start off with the tail end of Catastrophe. Starts off with the tail end of Catastrophe, leads into some brand new footage of Lancer fighting the Invid out in space. And the CG in that section is ropey as all hell. It looks like an animatic. It looks like pre-visualization. It doesn't look like finished work. The frame rate is incredibly low. It's about as embarrassing as the whole affair gets. The 2D animation in that sequence is not bad, but the 3D stuff is just shameful looking. But we quickly go from there to the Lancer flashback material from The Secret Route, him with Carla. And then we get to Lonely Soldier Boy. Then they do a little bit from Enter Marlene. Oh, and by the way, we are spoiling the heck out of this. So if you do want to go in cold, stop right now. Anyway, we go into Enter Marlene, Rand's discovery of Ariel / Marlene. And then it cuts to Eulogy, the Jonathan Wolfe episode. There is actually a moment during the new footage where you get radio chatter from Jonathan Wolfe. So I when they went to Aaron Marley, I'm like, they're going to skip Eulogy after they just telegraphed we're seeing some Eulogy here. But no, they go all out of order. They do the first bit of Enter Marlene, then they recap Eulogy, and then they get back to Enter Marlene with Scott moping around and then being revitalized by them bringing Marlene into the group. And then from there, you get Frostbite, the parts of Frostbite where Scott and Marlene get closer, and then you get Ghost Town, which I always loved Ghost Town. That is one of my favorite episodes of New Generation. And then you get to Reflex Point, of course, where Marlene's revealed to be an Invid. And then, of course, the two-part ending, Dark Finale and Symphony of Light. And from there they go to the big concert, and they play We Will Win. All the concert footage from the Love Live Live animation. And Lancer's reunion with the team. And I will say throughout, Cam Clark slips back into Lancer. It's perfectly fine. Greg Snegoff, Scott Bernard, fine. Frank Catalano as Rand and Susie London as Rook. You only really hear them doing new dialogue during that reunion sequence, and they're all right. Catalano gets a little off, I think, during his last line, and and at first, you go Susie London, you're like, wow, that's Rook. But there's a little something there that makes kind of betrays the ears, kind of betrays the fact that you've been watching animation and dialogue from 1985 spliced with material from 2012, 2013, which, that's what's happening. Time has passed, years are going by, but it is just it is a little bit distracting to the ear. What is interesting to me is that the footage, the mismatch between modern digital footage and animation from 1983 and animation from 1985, actually not that distracting. They've done some really good color matching here, which was the problem with those mid-2000s Zeta Gundam movies. The other thing you can really compare this to in terms of matching up cell animation from the 1980s and CG animation from the 21st century, the real big problem there was that they kept sort of using lighting effects and colors that were unavailable back in 1985, whereas here they do a much, much better job of matching the colors so that you don't really focus on the fact that the line work looks different or the texture looks different, because the colors match. It's not that bad, especially since one of the big matching things is when Lancer goes home at the end, goes to his little cabin where Sarah's waiting for him. That animation, that's Love Live Alive 1985 animation, and they've cut in some shots, some newly generated shots of the two of them together, to add some dialogue, to add some shots of them sort of holding hands, and the big spoiler, Sierra is pregnant. Is that ever going to pay off to anything? Is that something we should be concerned about? Who knows? Who really knows? Who knows how deeply, Shadow Rising development is, whether that's going to come out any time in the next 5, 10 years. But that is an area where they put in some new animation to actually do some new storytelling here, even if it is just a throwaway thing. One of the things I really actually most liked about this, and the thing that probably actually had the most emotional relevance for me, is the opening of this thing, because it opens up with brand new orchestrations of Robotech music done by Scott Glasgow, the guy who composed the music for Robotech: The Shadow Chronicles. For this, he did some new orchestrations of like the Invid theme, the Flower of Life theme, and the Robotech theme, and there were a few other pieces that followed that. I think like the first 10 to 15 minutes is all new orchestrations until we really start getting into recap, and then they start using all of the classic Robotech music. And the fact that there will be an album release that does feature, that medley, I'm actually really interested in that. I really liked what Glasgow did there. I liked what he did in the Shadow Chronicles, too, which is why I'm really glad to see them going back to him for this, keeping that relationship going. And God, them being a little too cute, to be fair, but the callback to the opening narration of Booby Trap, and having J.J. Smith doing, that opening narration again, doing a new version of that, mirroring, the crash of the SDF-1 with the arrival of the Invid. That was a treat. That was a nice little treat to the fans. You don't get a lot of good little treats to the fans out of 21st Century Harmony Gold, and this really, to me, I felt it really was one. That made me smile. And the fact that it ends with a next episode preview for the Shadow Chronicles, I think that was also a cute touch. Think what you will of the Shadow Chronicles, but them editing that and recording that, that was cute. I enjoyed that. But what this really is, in the final analysis, is it's something you can throw in if you haven't watched the New Generation in a while and you don't want to power through all 25 episodes. It's got some slipshod edits in it. It's got some bad sound mixing in it, in at least one spot that I can think of. There's a line of dialogue from the Invid Regis in the Symphony of Life recap. And I don't know if it's the fact that that was a new recording right there and they tried to add some effects to it to try and match it, or if I think it was. I really think it was. But it was badly mixed, and it sticks out like a sore thumb, and you can barely hear it. That's really not good. I think it really needed another pass. Somebody with an editing skill set should have just sat down, watched the thing from start to finish, and then gone back and fixed a few things here and there. It really feels very first draft in a way. That said, I had a good time watching it. I haven't watched the New Generation in years, and it does feel good, every once in a while to sit down and watch some Robotech. And And this does fulfill that remit. It's 90 minutes of new generation goodness, and all of the new material around it. A lot of the new material is perfectly fine. Now the Dana Sterling cameo is nicely done. Maybe the framing was a little too close. A little too close. Could have backed up a bit, but you know, especially since they do use that footage from Catastrophe, you know, it is nice how all of these little elements do call back to one another. It does lend a sense of completeness to it. You know, you see the little snippet of Catastrophe, then you see Dana on the ground. You hear Jonathan Wolfe in the radio chatter, and then you get to see most of the important parts of Eulogy. You know, it's there's places where this feels well built, and it just doesn't have a final slick polish on it. I guess all I can really say is, like I said, it's fine. Is it worth, you know, $13, $15 if you've got a copy of the Shadow Chronicles already? Maybe not. Maybe not. You know, maybe just for completeness sake, if anything. But you know, if you already have a copy of the Shadow Chronicles, and you're not that big of a completist, I wait to see if when the Lionsgate digital distribution deal is finalized, if you know, you'll be able to maybe rent this or purchase it as a digital download. Then it should probably only be about, you know, $2 to $5 or something. And that's what I'd really wait for, honestly, if you already have the Shadow Chronicles. If you don't have the Shadow Chronicles, or you know, you sold off your copy and you're kind of filled with regret or something, yeah, go ahead. You know, $15, you get Shadow Chronicles, you get Love Live Alive. Sit down, you watch Love Live Alive, you watch Shadow Chronicles. It's there's a sense of completeness there. Robotech Love Live Alive. It's fine. It's not terrible. And I didn't think it was going to be. I did. So now what? Now what are we waiting for? What is still on the horizon? Probably basically Robotech RPG Tactics. I would still say the live action movie is way off on the horizon despite the DiCaprio rumor. And they keep saying, yeah, we're still working on Shadow Rising, even though, you know, we've heard conflicting things over the years. They say that Shadow Rising is still in active development. I'll believe it when we see the first, like, you know, drawings, the first maybe, you know, couple of seconds of animation, you know, the first teaser. You know, right now all we have is words, and words ain't worth much. But you know, so I'll be back sometime reasonably soon. There are some things I do want to talk about. There are still some things to talk about, and especially if we do get any more new concrete news, stuff that's reasonably well sourced, I'll definitely be back to talk about that. In the meantime, follow me on Twitter, send me emails at the show email. I will check that every once in a while to see if anybody's dumped anything there. You know, leave some comments on the YouTube channel, on the video itself. And I think that's it. So this is Captain JLS signing off. We'll see you next time.
You must be getting awful close to that target, sir. Then what the heck are we waiting for? Move out!